back with another podcast coming at you live. It is Tuesday, the 13th of May. Guys, we got another great podcast for you. It is No Sugar, No Cream podcast. I am due a haircut and beard trim, as you can see. I'm looking a little mountainy right now, and I'm planning on leaving for the mountains here within the next few weeks, and we'll be living in a cave for the foreseeable future. Tim,
hey nephew,
I'm about to move into a cave. Help me. No, I need to get here. I put it off way too long. But
you could do a big mohawk there, right?
Yeah,
I have
a
curly mohawk.
Yeah, I do got it going on. When I get it trimmed, you can see a little bit of it. But I thought about doing a more pronounced mohawk since I can. I'm a grown up. I can do what I want.
You can do whatever you want.
I can get a childish mohawk if I want to. Because I'm a big boy. And I put my big boy pants on. Or sweats. I like sweats. Guys. Tim and I are pulling on the happy face for you guys, but it was a rough night last night. Let's take a moment of silence for the Warriors and the Celtics.
Neither of
that wasn't long enough, Tim. That wasn't long enough.
Neither of them are eliminated, but
it feels like it. We eliminated them
1-3. They're down 3-1. Down 3-1.
It's not looking good.
And more importantly, or more tragically, Jason Tatum, our star for the Celtics, ruptured his Achilles tendon. And
not to be outdone, the Warriors.
Well, Steph's coming back. Steph, he's coming back. If they last the next series, he'll be back. Yes. Tatum may not even play next season.
Okay,
that's a completely different injury.
Done it. You win. Congratulations, you win.
The most severe the most severe injury award.
Severe injury award. The most non-coveted award ever.
Yeah, not an award anyone wants to win.
Oh,
for sure.
Yeah, it was tough. I went downstairs, so it was like I could judge if how good the game is, especially if Tim's not there watching it. So that's not a good sign. At that point, they were only down by, I think close to 5 at that point, and then I sat down and it just got worse. And then they were down by 10. There's just a few minutes left, and then
they were down like 7 or 9 when Tatum 8, I think, when Tatum was injured, and
it did not look good.
I don't think they were going to win with Tatum or without Tatum.
He was not able to put any pressure whatsoever on his leg.
Right, when they had to take him away in a wheelchair. And they operated on it today.
They
already operated on it.
And the injury, once again,
torn Achilles tendon.
So not torn all the way, but like partially
ruptured. I should say ruptured. It's gone. It's ruptured is the term they use, not torn.
Was in
ruptured.
So much pain. It was
ruptured.
You knew it was bad. You were hoping for the best,
but there's no guarantee that you even regain all your springiness and mobility, and when you come back. I mean, that's a serious injury.
Nobody was even touching when it happened.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's just
Isn't that weird.
Yeah,
they call it a non-contact injury.
It didn't even look like he went down bad. It was weird. It really was weird. I mean, I guess I need to watch it.
And he has been kind of an Iron Man. He hadn't missed a playoff game, and they shared the teammates he was playing with when he missed the last playoff game, which was like 2017. And the names on that Celtic list, long time ago retired. And he missed his first playoff game in 7 years earlier this playoff in the first round when they played Orlando. He's kind of an Iron Man, so he normally doesn't get injured. I mean, there are some players who get injured all the time. Joel Embiid, as an example, MVP level player, if he could ever stay healthy, he's always injured. The taller you get, the more difficult it is to stay healthy. Remember Yao Ming from China?
Mm-hmm.
Was like 7'4".
Mm-hmm.
he could never stay healthy. If he was healthy, he was a dominant force. But the taller you are, the more difficult it seems, for them to stay healthy.
Yeah, it was really, this series is just tough watching the Celtics. They're just shooting so many threes and not staying balanced. Is just overdoing it with the threes, miss threes. Now you won't say anything if they make most of them, but they were missing them back to back.
The first two games they were playing horribly. They were bombing threes. The first game they threw up 60 threes and they missed 40 of them. The second game they pared it back and they only threw up, I think, 40 or 45, and that's still a lot of threes. But the third game that they won, they were hitting their threes. And they threw up a lot of threes, not quite as many as the first two, but they were hitting them. It doesn't matter now. I don't see, they might win one game, go back to Boston, and based on the energy and everything, might win one. But the odds of beating the Knicks for 3 more games, because we're down 3-1 and you need to win 4, the first to 4 wins. So you can't lose a game. They'd have to win out the next 3 games. And without Tatum,
it definitely hurts without Tatum, but I feel like there's still there's enough amazing players on that team to win it. I just feel like they were just making some bad decisions.
Well, sometimes when a player goes down, the team actually has to make changes, and they end up finding that they have more success. I'm not saying that's going to be the case here. The Knicks are an amazing team. They're so physical. And the odds are against my Celtics to win this series. And then even going forward after that, because torn Achilles tendon, you're out for the rest of the season and possibly a good portion, if not all, of next season. The coming back takes a long time to come back.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing some of the guys further down the roster play, because like they play like they have no tomorrow. They play differently because I feel like, because they don't get to play that often, so they're just on it like crazy, and it's so funny. Like I think it was all people from the bench at the end, at the last 5 minutes of the Celtics, the Warriors game, and they saw the starters in for Minnesota, and they ate away. They took the down to 7 points. It was up like they were down by like 15, 20 points, and they took it down to 7. Once
bench.
Again, that conversation we've had in the past, like the guys even on the bench have the skills.
Yeah, the difference is between player number 1 and player number 450. Theoretically, there's 30 teams and there's 5. You can have 15 players on a team, so that's the maximum. Not every team has all 15 players, but the maximum number of players is 450. So, but if you could rank them and you could agree between player number 1 all the way to player number 450, player number 450 ain't that bad. Can sometimes beat player number 1 on a given day. I mean, they're all the difference between them is really more consistency. The top players play at a high level all the time. And the lower ranked players may have a day where they just go off and everything is working for them, and they could beat a higher ranked player. I mean, if there was such a thing as rankings, there is in some regard. I mean, certainly there's a ranking. There's those who make the All-Star team, those who make the All-NBA team. And then if you even just took the top 5 starters from 30 teams, so you've had 5 starters times 30 teams, so that'd be 150 players. So the 150, and then I know teams change starters, but if you could agree on each team had 5 starters, that would be 150 players. And those are certainly at a higher level. They play it more consistent. So the other theoretically speaking, 300 players from 151 to 450 are not as consistent, obviously, but there are times when they will show up and have a day, and you have a bench player that just shoots way beyond their norm. One Buddy Hield, who's not a starter for San Francisco. He a couple of games ago, he shot out of his head. He had 32 points, so I think it was a career high for him. He's normally on the bench. And then you say, well, he's going to do that the next game. Well, sorry, he didn't. Because consistency. It's all about consistency. So even the All-Stars aren't as consistent as, they don't have the same, they don't put up the same, but some of them do. SGA, who's MVP, he put up 40 points for in the playoffs for I don't know how many games in a row. He's extremely consistent. 40 points, that's a lot of points. But
hopefully you guys enjoyed the sports segment of our podcast. Well, I got to add one more thing. I'm guessing you saw the news on the draft lottery.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I'm not a conspiracy theorist guy, but man.
So to say the news, the winner who got pulled for the what is it, the 5 teams or that get
14 teams are in the lottery.
Okay, 14 teams. I'm about to say it had to have been more than 5.
So how you figure that is there are 30 teams, and each conference has 8 teams that make the playoffs. So 8 times 2 is 16. 30 minus 16 equals 14. So that means 14 teams are not in the playoffs, and they could have been in the play-in and lost in the play-in. There's a play-in, which is a mini tournament before the playoffs. If you're number 9 or 10, you can play to get into playoffs, but you have to win 2 games to get in. And teams 7 and 8 have to win 1 game. So 7, 8, 9, 10, and all play in a play-in mini tournament. And
your name goes in more, right? If your
name goes in more.
Does everybody just name goes in one time in the?
No. Now you're talking about the lottery.
Lottery, yeah.
So you got your 16 that are made the playoffs, and then so you got the other 14 who didn't. And so you have the worst record, you have them ranked. Those 14 ranked from 1 to 14 based on record. The worst record is number 1. And if 2 teams have the same record, they have tiebreakers. They have a number of tiebreakers, most points scored or worst record in their conference. I don't know. And in a case that none of the tiebreakers work, they literally toss a coin to break so that they have a ranking from 1 to 14. And so then of those 1 to 14, they're given a statistical probability. Ping pong, it's supposed to be a number of ping pong balls. So if you have a number, like if you have 100 ping pong balls, they probably must have to have more than 100 because the Dallas, who was in the play-in game, if I remember, and so they didn't make the playoffs, but they were in the play-in game. If they had made the playoffs, they wouldn't have even have been in the lottery. So they were in the play-in game and they lost. And so they weren't able to make the playoffs. They were close though, but they lost in the play-in tournament.
Yeah.
Well, they had a 1.8% probability of winning. So it used to be the number 1 team, the worst team, had by the highest, substantially, really high. And then it went down from there. And so teams were deliberately tanking. And so they changed the rules. And I believe it's the top 3 teams, or the worst 3 teams, each have a 25% probability. So that'd be 75 of the 75%. And then it goes down from there. It used to be that high. I don't know how high it is now. But the top 3 teams have the worst 3 teams have the same percentage to win. And so since Dallas was probably number 13 or 14, because they had one of the better records of those 14, they had a 1.8% chance of winning the lottery. And they won the lottery. And they get a player, Cooper Flagg, who played for Duke, who's considered to be one of the best candidates since LeBron. Well, I think that's hyperbole because Victor Wembanyama, or however you pronounce his name, who came out a couple years ago, was considered to be the best since LeBron. So you keep your facts straight. You can't have the best since LeBron if Victor made it. But this Cooper Flagg guy is pretty amazing. And everybody wanted to win him. And, of course, the first round wins him, gets the opportunity. But they don't have to. But he's a consensus number 1 pick. And now Dallas will conceivably get Cooper Flagg.
What's the chances of that? Well, only 1.8%
1.8%.
The team that did the craziest trade, they got everybody talking about the NBA happens to get the number one pick.
Yeah. So as the conspiracy theory would go,
it was rigged.
It was rigged, and the reason and how it was rigged was that okay, Luka is probably the most flamboyant player in the NBA. Young, and he's young. He's 25, 26. The NBA viewership has been going down, and the center of entertainment in this country is LA. And so any LA team, Lakers or Clippers, but usually Lakers, have to be, given some chance to compete because we need to get that viewership up and we got to have people talking about it. So Dallas traded Luka mid-season to LA, and everybody is saying it's the worst trade in the history of the NBA. And they got very little back. They got some Cracker Jack prizes back. Well, I'm exaggerating, but they got very little back.
Davis.
But they got no draft picks. Normally, for a player of that, you would get like 5 first-round draft picks. You would get so many draft picks. You get compensation. Yeah. They got Davis, unibrow, who's an incredible defender. Another guy that's often injured. But the conspiracy goes that the head office orchestrated this and said, okay, send Luka to LA and we will make sure you get the number one draft pick. And so you can get Cooper Flag, and that's your compensation. That is the conspiracy theory. And it's 1.8 probability, and they got it. It wasn't 0, but still. And I saw a meme that said there are 3 times in the last 15 years when a team traded a big player to LA, and the next year they got the number one draft pick.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. And this was the 3rd one.
Wow.
So
shady.
So I mean the drawing is not public. Like when you win the lottery, when they do the lottery and they get the numbers, they're doing it on live TV, right? They pick the balls out and put it down. Okay, and you got to have a certain set of numbers to win, and they're doing it on live TVs. They don't do that on live TV. They just announce them. And I thought it was quite interesting because the top 4 picks were on stage behind a desk. So they must have already known. I mean, why is Dallas up there when Dallas has a 1.8 chance? When I saw, because they did it just before the game last night, before the Celtics game. And they announced pick number 4, pick number 3, pick number 2, and pick number 1. And those 4 teams were on stage. Those weren't the teams with the highest odds. Why were they on stage? It's just.
What was your initial reaction when you first saw that announced?
Well, to be honest, I was thinking a little bit more about the Celtics game, but it was. I never thought conspiracy, and I didn't realize that Dallas only had a 1.8% probability of win. So, but Cooper Flag is a big catch. And now with Cooper Flag and Kyrie comes back, Kyrie's injured. I think he might have had a tendon as well. They say he may not be back next season. But when he does come back, and if AD is not retired, they will have an amazing team.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, did Tatum's surgery go well? Has that already been?
It said it went well, yeah.
That's good. Just long recuperation.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if he can come back after a year, huh? Has there been any players that have come back from that kind of injury and still played pretty well?
Well, why don't you Google it? You have your phone. And now this is Google time.
No. Just what's the injury again?
Ruptured Achilles tendon. And you know where that name came from? Achilles was supposedly Greek mythology. Achilles was doused in a vat of liquid that made him impenetrable, made him supernatural. He could not be hurt, except he was held by his ankle on one leg as he was dunked head first. This is a mythology. And because whoever, I think it was mother was dunking him, was holding him by his leg around his Achilles, around that area. That area was protected, was not allowed to get the magic serum. I'm really not telling the story well, but I know the facts are correct. And so it became the Achilles tendon.
Well, I think you'll like these statistics. 72 to 78% of NBA players return after having that injury.
Okay, return, but how long does it take?
10 to 12 months. But I mean, how well?
10 to 12 months. 12 months from now will be the playoffs of next year.
Decline in performance.
So he's not going to play for most of next season.
They often experience a decline, of course, in performance.
That's the point. Give me some other examples. I think
27% return to their pre-injury level of performance.
Durant might have had one. Did Kevin Durant have one? Can you give you some names?
Yep. I just scrolled down.
What did Kyrie have? Kyrie Irving. What was he on that list? Because he's supposed to be out most of next year.
Dominique Wilkins is another one from 92. Who did you say?
Kyrie Irving. Kyrie. So Achilles tendon, it's and it's also a term for a weakness. I mean, it doesn't even, you can say, what's your Achilles tendon? And it's a phrase used in conversation demonstrating something that is a weakness. That's our Achilles tendon. If you're doing a business plan and there's a weakness, our Achilles tendon. And that phrase is used not even describing a particular body part.
I don't like silence. Apologize, guys. Are we looking good over there?
Yeah.
We're a
little bit paranoid because the last one or the one before.
Last week's.
Was it last week's?
Mm-hmm.
The camera froze and we didn't even realize it. So I'm looking at the monitor there and I'm checking that my hand motion is shown on the camera. So it's working. I think last time it was about an hour long and it only the camera only worked for like 20 minutes or 15 minutes. So we continue to have new technical snafus.
Kyrie Irving, ACL injury.
Oh, ACL. Okay.
And he had a positive, a couple weeks ago, had a positive outlook on that. But, but anyways, hope this is
10 to 12 months. I mean, that's devastating for a Celtics fan, and he may not be he has a less than 1 in 4 chance of reaching his previous level. You said 20-some percent, 27%, I think you said.
Yeah. My little brother, which not so little, but 3 years younger than me, tore his ACL. It was during the practice. So annoying too. Some kid was just trying to show off and like was just
football. You're talking about football,
and hit him more than necessary, like during a practice, because he wasn't even doing full speed, and then some other jerk decided to go full speed and hurt him. He tore his ACL, and it was a rough comeback for him. Oh, seeing him get that surgery too, him go under, he was headed to anesthesia, or it almost looked like he already was starting to receive it. He was coming out of it. He was really drowsy. And seeing your little brother like in that kind of just like just seeing him like just kind of suffer. You feel like he's suffering away, but he's getting a surgery to help him. But if you feel powerless, you just want to help your little brother, and but he's just having to experience the pain and all that. Yeah, that was our Thanksgiving 1 year, him having to deal with all that. But Yeah, and now he uses it as his weather alarm system. He can tell you when the rain's coming. Pretty much, it will tighten up and stuff. But yeah, but yeah, he still played some after that. But it was just, and then I mean that just it hurts your morale too, and it affects you mentally too. You know,
Well, he
have an
finished out
injury
his
like
high
that.
school career. He was a
Mhm,
sophomore when that happened,
mhm.
right?
Yeah, he lost quite a bit of passion for it, and then he didn't pursue it in college like he originally really wanted to. But
He was incredibly fast, running back.
so fast. In fact, I went and ran into somebody that was um, he held Daniel in high regard, and he told me that it was him. It was uh, him, Daniel, and another guy that were the fastest guys at the school. And he himself went on to be backup to like a pro
Wow.
in college. Somebody that went and played pro in the NFL. So that's how fast Daniel was. He was very fast. But yeah, he's a running back. But,
And after that, he lost all interest in all football. He didn't even watch football anymore.
which he never really watched football before that. He played it.
Didn't watch it.
Yeah, he's still pretty athletic. He's the only person I've ever seen go up to. He can climb up a tree, like he probably can still do it, like a koala bear. Just like no limbs on a tree, straight up. He can just put his legs around it and pinch it, and then just crawl up like a koala bear. I was like, it's just the craziest thing. The first time he did that, we're like, what in the world? Because when we were kids, we were like huge tree climbers. And living in Illinois, we didn't have TV. We just were outdoors all the time, and we had all these different trees that we climbed. And it was so funny moving to Hot Springs, and I was way up in this tree, hanging out at this social gathering thing, and some kid was like, "How did you do that?" Like kids in the city never even climbed trees before, didn't even weren't really probably allowed to in a lot of situations. Like at the children's home where my parents worked, they weren't allowed to climb trees at all, so that quickly took away the whole climbing trees thing. But we were big tree climbers. Got that from my dad. Never had any bad injuries like my dad did. I'll tell you, my dad, he even when we were like, before we were born, or even I might have been born, but he was up in the tree goofing off and was going back and forth in the tree and broke the tree and
broke a branch, probably
broke both legs.
Wow.
He broke both legs, and he goes to church, and some lady is like, "How'd you break your legs?" I was he said, tells the lady, "I was up in a tree sweeping." And the lady's like, "Oh," and just walks away. I was sweeping in a tree. Oh my
Sleeping
God.
or sweeping?
Sweeping, like just said something stupid random, like nobody sweeps in a tree. I was sweeping in a tree.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Oh, well, our t-shirts today. Let's describe our t-shirts. Your t-shirt is the wonderful No Sugar, No Cream podcast. Sponsored. This one is sponsored. And if you are interested in the same t-shirt,
Monster,
you can find it at thewolfcreek.com.
Excellent.
It's available.
Did you put that browser on Facebook?
Browser.
You should put that website on when you comment
Okay,
below.
I sure can.
Put that on there.
And this t-shirt is a vintage t-shirt.
Vintage.
From probably 20 years ago. It's a band I used to be in. The Stolen Goods Band.
They all went to jail for stolen goods. So
it was my idea to name the band that. It was a 3-piece band, blues band. And the bass player, his last name was Stolen.
Nice.
Mike Stolen. Yeah. So I said, would
Clever.
you mind if we named the band Stolen Goods Band? And he laughed and he said, I don't care. So we named the band Stolen Goods Band. And this is the logo that we had. So
That's very clever. I like when
well, I can be
people
fairly
come up.
clever. I can be very creative. I am a songwriter. I'm a creative guy. So
Tim did approve no sugar, no cream. Well, we kind of came up with it together. I think we were just throwing things around. We came up with that on the cruise ship. It wasn't Carnival, so no tell Carnival. That was the one time we weren't on a Carnival cruise.
didn't go on a Carnival cruise.
Didn't go, yeah.
Went on Celebrity.
I think this year we're going to be going out of. I don't know if I'm not. You're probably. I don't know if you.
Your brother never sent me the info.
I don't know. He might not even booked it yet. He might have got distracted by some gaming going on. He's been very busy in the gaming world. New game came out.
No, what is the game that came out?
I'm not even sure what the name of it was. Yeah, he plays a different style. There's a lot more depth into the games that he plays. I'm more like, give me a gun. I like it simple. I'm more of a first person shooter kind of person. But what was I talking about? Oh yeah, cruising. So we're gonna do our usual Christmas cruises, which are gonna be early, which be about half to a third of the price because we're going before Christmas. We had a good time. We went to week of Christmas. All of us were on the cruise, but in the fall we're doing. So you can jump on one of those too. We're doing 2 8-day cruises out of New York. So I don't know where the stops. I know one of the stops is going to be the new island that Carnival build out a whole part of an island, and so the whole it should like still have that new smell to it. So that'd be fun too. Bunch of slides and stuff, and I think like
I had said I wasn't this last Christmas. I went with you guys were on 3 cruises back to back, and I went in the middle one that was over Christmas, and I got off the ship like the 30th of December and flew back, which was a trip from hell. That trip back, I mean, I got to the airport at 8 in the morning, and I didn't get home till like 1 in the morning because the plane we sat on the tarmac in our seats for over 2 hours. There was storms and things going on, and they kept delaying it. I was so thankful. Thank the Lord when we finally were wheels up around 10:30 that night. We're supposed to leave around 5. And I got to the airport early, hoping to get an earlier flight, but I couldn't do that. Anyway, I'm now reversing my thoughts and I'll tell you the reason why. Because I have written songs it's a different, when you write songs, you are influenced by your environment. In fact, I've even heard, I know another hit songwriter hitting country number ones, that he would go on a bus trip with his co-writers. And you're focused on writing, and you've got the stimulation of the highway going by, the scenery from the highway, and you do a bus trip to write. So it is a way to stimulate your creativity, and you'll probably come up with things that you won't come up with just staying at home. And segueing to a plug here, a long-term plug, but on Wednesday, I was at Sony Studios with an incredible band and of Nashville studio musicians, and we recorded 10 songs that I wrote on a cruise ship back in 2022 down under, and we were on a cruise ship between around New Zealand mostly, but we started in Sydney, Australia, and the name of the album is going to be Down and Under, and there are actually 11 songs. One of them's already been released. And then we recorded the other 10, and they all kind of have a cohesive. You listened to the demos, didn't you think they kind of had a cohesive kind of feel to them?
Yeah.
And so I want to release them all as one group, and that album will come out, God willing, and that I get all the work done. Will be August 30th, sometime in August. By the deadline will be August 30th. So Down and Under is the name of that album. So going through these songs that I wrote. And some of them, when I listened to them, like, wow, I don't know, how did I come up with that? It's just interesting when you look back at something that you created, and now it's been 2022, it's been 2.5 years ago because it was Christmas 22. So a little over 2 years ago, 2.5, I guess. And now I'm finally recording them. So I'd like to have another chance, maybe to write another 10 or 12. So I'm interested in the cruising because I seem to write. And then the next year, I wrote 11 more on a Christmas cruise. And I don't know if those are quite as cohesive because it was out of Florida, but I haven't released any of those either. No, I did release one. I released Old Man Down by the River, which was written of those 11. That one has been, that was released. And that's already coming on the Born in South Dakota album. So I'm already violating my rule of keeping them all together in one group. Because I released Old Man Down by the River. And I wrote that. I remember wrote that on the cruise ship. And I wrote 10 other ones. And so I like.
So maybe you like cruises more than you thought.
Maybe I do.
Yeah, it is pretty awesome to. I mean, goodness, it was interesting. I was watching a YouTube video where there's a town where Dolly Parton is from, where I guess she put a lot of money into it or invested in some of this town. It's a smaller town that has a bunch of like kind of like the look of Branson, where like they have the building looking all fancy to pull you in, and then they charge you probably like $40 a person for everything to just go into the building and experience something.
Look that up. What town is that? Is that so? I thought it was Gallatin, but it's not Gallatin.
It's right near there.
No, it's not near there. Is it?
Yeah.
What was the other town that we were looking for? Went to Gallatin Friday, which is a town about an hour out of.
Oh no, further.
It's a lot further away.
Gatlinburg.
I got the two confused. Gallatin, Gatlinburg.
Pigeon Forge is
the place where she's at. Yeah, Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, aren't they close to each other? Somewhat.
Yeah.
It's hours away from Nashville. 2-3 hours, I think.
And you could easily, for two people, spend just one day $500 just popping.
Have you been there?
Seeing?
Or
no,
you
just watched a YouTube video. And it looks like a fun little town, but just like as far as like the entertainment level, it's so funny. Like for that same price, you can, or for less, you can go to Disney World. You know, so like it was like that. And
but there's no Dolly at Disney World.
But this
Dolly
was even
Parton.
There's like
there's
Dixie
only
Stampede
one
there.
Dolly Parton.
There's a Dixie Stampede there and all that, I think, and then like there's an upside down building that you can
nice
kinds of stuff. But like and there's a Titanic museum. It's kind of like a small Branson in a way. But yeah, so like you can spend all this money. And the funny part is, man, for $150 a day, you can go on a cruise, and all your food will be included, a lot of entertainment, and you can do whatever you want, or you can do it whatever you want, or do nothing at all. Read a book, just relax, go hang out with your family, play some board games, go to a comedy show, maybe the port stop somewhere. I prefer not to get off the port. I try to stay as lazy as possible on cruises. I love it. I mean, I even played for the first time. I played not tennis, but the racquetball, pickleball. Played my first game of pickleball. Really enjoyed that. I would love to get into that. It's a lot like ping pong in a way. It's a lot simpler form of tennis. I never really liked tennis the way that felt. Always been decent at ping pong, and then it's a bigger ping pong paddle thing kind of thing, and it feels a lot like and I did decent. My brother and I played for about a half an hour, and that was a blast. But and then the stars in the evening and a movie playing or something is always a lot of fun. We went to last year we went in October, whatever. First time I went to Alaska and then went to Hawaii. But that was crazy going to Alaska. For the first time the pool was heated. That was nice. But we kind of went at the tail end of where all the animals had already ditched us, so we didn't really see that many animals.
Seth's coming. Get out of here. Ditch them. We'll ditch them.
we did experience an excursion where like it has such an impact on my memory, not from seeing the animals, but from the amount of people that threw up on that excursion. It was like 7-some people. My dad threw up. My
Because it was
aunt
rough,
threw up.
rough seas.
Yeah. My uncle, who the person that you would think threw up, had taken some medicine. He didn't throw up at all.
Why? He's the most seasick guy?
Yeah. But he had taken some medicine, so he was good. So the funny part is I didn't see anybody throw up, but I didn't eat any food after hearing about it. It made me not hungry at all.
You weren't on the cruise ship. Or I
was on it.
You were on it.
I was
okay.
outside falling asleep.
So it didn't bother you?
I stayed outside maybe a little bit, but not too bad. But you got to get fresh air. Being inside.
How long of a boat was it? Would you say?
The rough of it probably was close to an hour.
No. I meant to say the length of the boat. How big of a boat?
50 feet, maybe.
Okay.
So, and then what? 2 or 3 levels. But you're supposed to be like seeing whales, and we didn't see any whales. They saw some like.
So did you get part of your money back?
No. I don't get your money back. But it was just like the end of the season, so we missed out, on seeing a lot of the animals. So no whales at all that we saw, or if somebody saw them, like I didn't get to see any. So that was a bummer. So of course, but that was a good memory just because of the people throwing up, and we just had a fun time just chuckling all about it. And it had nothing to do with it being an all women's crew. No jokes were made at the expense.
Well, I remember when we were in New York, and we went to we had to take a shuttle to get to go around Statue of Liberty, and the captain of our little boat was a woman, and watching her maneuver that boat, it was so hot. It was really hot. She's bringing that boat in, and she's eating Doritos while she was, steering the boat.
Tim got his entertainment.
Yeah, I was like, how can I meet you, Captain?
Are those your favorite kind of Doritos now? Do you know what kind of Doritos she was eating?
I'm not sure.
Probably Cool Ranch. She's so cool.
Yeah, and then she's bringing it into the port, and I mean the dock, not the port. It was a dock.
That was a fun 3-day trip. I might have told this story on the podcast before, but there was definitely some. My mind got to be blown on that trip. My brother and I every evening we're going to do comedy. You went with us one night,
yeah,
and the night that you flew out, I think you had left the last night. You left a day early.
I left Sunday afternoon.
Right. That Sunday evening, we went to this one spot, which ended up being really the most popular for a lot of the bigger name. It's called, oh my gosh, I can't even, comedy. Anyways, it's a comedy spot. They're in New York. We go in there. We just, at this point, it would be in 3 shows, and my brother had just been booking them on different stops, different venues. And it's the Comedy Parlor, I think is what it was called. And we were like in the Pussycat spot. It was called Pussycat or something like that. Yeah, it was called.
Okay, room. Nephew.
Something like that. Well, it might have just been one of those words. I can't remember. But so like we go in there. They have us seal up our phones, which is funny because they just have us put it like in an envelope. And then seal the envelope so really you could just open it. But they get you to separate yourself from your phone. And the MC comes on and is doing his thing and introduces the first comic. That comic goes off and he comes back and says, you never know, ladies and gentlemen, you never know who's going to show up. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Chappelle. And we're like, everybody laughs, just laughing themselves. Yeah, right, Dave Chappelle. We look over, camera crew comes in, Dave Chappelle walks in, already been drinking a little bit that evening, comes up on stage, and our minds are blown because here he is. It's his birthday week. He had just done a big big show, and he just felt like doing some comedy. So he just showed up, he ended up doing an hour and 15 minutes. So he took that's 5 spots.
So what did those people think? And they're probably, I mean, would think you're a up and coming comedian and you get booked and suddenly you lose your slot, or do you get paid anyway? I wonder.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Knowing Dave Chappelle, he probably didn't even take any money and still had him pay all the comics, knowing him for the way he is. Which I'll tell another story about him now that you say that. Yeah, so we which was funny. There's a guy kind of not heckling him, but asking him questions, but probably kept him going too. But it was asking the stupidest questions. But Dave Chappelle was like, no, let's hear him out. We're all getting annoyed with this guy, but he keeps Dave is still funny as can be. He made reference. In fact, he was asking our opinion. What should I do, guys? Or well, kind of asking our opinion. Because he was about to have a birthday party and Will Smith was coming to it, and also Rock was coming to it, Chris Rock, and of course that slap had happened earlier that year. And so, like, should I tell Chris that Will's coming, or what do I do? Because he's friends with both of them. So yeah, it was just amazing to get to see him.
Moving that mic may create some noise.
Oh, really? Okay, my bad.
I have to listen back.
My bad.
Maybe not, but I know that when we're testing it and you're moving it, it creates a lot of noise. So
I'd like to apologize to all the listeners out there. But another Dave Chappelle story that I heard on a podcast. He was this is back in LA, back like in the late 90s when who was the really oh my gosh, what's his name? Oh, he was big in the 90s. Oh my God. Now I'm having a brain fart.
SNL alumni?
No. He did a couple movies, Employee of the Month, and Dane Cook. Dane Cook was like early 2000s. 2000s, he was like, oh yeah, 2000 Employee of the Month came out 2006. So yeah, so from like the mid 2000s, he was really popular and doing really well. And now he's really kind of, his brother stole a bunch of money from him, and that's not the reason he fell off, but he just hit a high peak there with the movies, and then just kind of nosedived pretty good there. But so at the height of his stuff going on, and Dave Chappelle was really popular too. They were both very popular, and they were both there going to do doing 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or whatever. There at the I think it was probably there's a few different spots, Laugh Factory, the Comedy Store, and I think it was probably the Comedy Store. He was doing Dave Chappelle was about to go on, and the guy that was in charge of whatever came over, was like, hey, could you just stick to your amount of time? Dane Cook's about to go on, and it's really his night tonight, and so if you could just do your time and then go off. And Dave Chappelle was like, sure. And maybe a little annoyed, but just the way that, because he's a pretty big name himself, and he goes on, does his just keeps to his time, and then right when he ends, he's like, guys, I never usually do this, but I'm gonna go outside and smoke a cigarette, and anybody wants to come out and I'll talk to you and sign autographs. Clears the room. Completely clears the room.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody leaves. And then Dave Chappelle is supposed to go on. I don't know what happened after that, but supposedly.
What year was that?
Probably 2006, 2007, or somewhere around.
So when did Dave Chappelle get big?
I mean, that's a good question. So the Dave Chappelle show was really the height, and then he disappeared.
You can tell that Seth is a big Dave Chappelle fan.
Big Dave Chappelle fan. And what's up? I can't find his merch. I want to buy some Dave Chappelle merch. But yeah, it's so funny.
Would you say he's your favorite comedian?
Yeah. Yeah. As far as regular comedy, and then I have a new guy that, well, I've known of him, but I just realized how amazing he is at crowd work. There's a separate guy that I like for crowd work, but Dave Chappelle, just
I know the guy that is 30, but he looks like he's 55. You saw him here in Nashville.
Oh no, I've never seen this guy.
Who's the guy? The guy with the great crowd work is the guy who's very smart, balding, and he's like 30, but he's
there's other people.
Don't you remember the guy I'm talking about? You saw in Nashville.
Oh yeah. He does good crowd work too, but I'm thinking of somebody else.
What's that guy's name?
Big J Okerson. He can be a little bit too probably dirty for some people. But he is just so good at like talking to people and then just saying the craziest stuff that he's kind of surpassed anybody else. That I'll just watch these like 10-minute segments, and that he comes out better than I think his skill level is better than anybody that I've seen.
Are you sure we're talking about the same guy?
Yeah.
That name is so familiar. The guy is like, okay, yeah.
Guy. Yeah,
balding, kind of chubby.
Yeah,
he's only in his 30s, but he could easily pass for 60, in my opinion. 55.
I just saw him.
55 going on 30.
I'm probably pulling my ticket from when I was.
Oh, that's Okerson is his name.
Oh yeah, Big J Okerson, and he has a couple different podcasts, and they have a big festival too. Which I won't even say the name of it because it has a dirty word in it.
No, we are clean. This podcast is clean.
We are cleaner than a whistle. Cleaner than a whistle. Bring your grandma on. She'll love our show. She'll love us. But maybe turn up her hearing aid. Grandma, you hear me? Grandma. The dirtiest segments is when somebody smokes. You know who, but we haven't picked up cigarettes for her in a while, so she has been ignoring us. I feel like she just wants us. She just uses us for us picking up cigarettes.
Yeah, I think we should have Walter Wimble close the show out.
Walter Wimble. Oh, I love Walter Wimble. Good old Walter Wimble.
When we're ready to close the show out, Walter should take it out.
Walter will take it over for us. Kevin Hart's coming up in June. I'm not a big fan of Kevin Hart. But yeah. So what was I talking about? But yeah, so comedy. But yeah, there's a couple of Dave Chappelle stories. But yeah, you were asking about when he but yeah, that was like the early 2000s.
When he blew up,
might even been the 90s. I mean, he had already been on the 2003 to 2006, maybe that was 2003. So right around the same time that he was at the height of it, and then he disappeared. He left $50 million on the table to do another season or two, and people thought he was crazy, and he disappeared to Africa and just kind of got away from everything. And the funny part is, when he came back, Netflix gave him $60 million for like 3 or 4 specials. Which one of them he even demonstrated himself. One of the specials, he was just like took off the table, dusted off, and handed it to Netflix because it was already done from a few years back. But they were all amazing. Man, he tells a story. He tells a story of meeting OJ 3 or 4 times, and he interweaves it, and at the end he starts walking away. It was one last thing. The last time I met OJ, he's just a great storyteller, and I mean, and he doesn't need a script. I mean, he was doing a little bit of crowd work and stuff, but mostly just like having a subject to talk about and then just breaking it down and making fun of it, funny things about it. Oh, he's just amazing. He's amazing. But yeah, he I don't think Dane Cook was probably happy after that night. But yeah, I haven't heard the other side of that story, so there's probably more to that story. But yeah, good stuff. But I'm Walter Wimble, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Once again, Seth and Tim have done another episode of No Sugar, No Cream podcasts. It's been a splendid occasion of information, a dialect conversation. I have been enriched. My mind, maybe a little brain cells have been lost, but that's okay. At the cost of entertainment, there is no greater privilege. Thank you for watching. Good night and good luck. Thank you. I'm Walter Wimble.